Hello and welcome to another episode of Rapidly Aging Tech. Today, we're going to be trying to upgrade my old Mac Mini here. Now this computer is actually what started off the channel. My first video was with this. After I got it home from Free Geek, I cracked it open to, well, more or less make it work. If you remember the ZIF cable lock for the little ribbon cable that connects some of the upper assembly and the optical drive to the actual motherboard unit, had, I don't know, been broken. Someone probably was overly aggressive prying it open, so I had to use some tape to hold it back together, and it's been working. It functions. However, a little while after, the audio stopped working. According to one thing I read online somewhere, someone had issues with the audio on one of these when the CMOS battery died. And the CMOS battery is dead on this. If I disconnect it from power and plug it back in, it doesn't know the date. So that might be the solution there. Attaching that cable might be another solution too, because maybe some of the connections have gotten a bit funny. But the main goal isn't just trying to get the sound and putting in a new battery. It's to actually upgrade the thing. You see, right now, this thing is running Mac OS X 10.5.8, but it's an Intel Mac. Now, if it would have been an old Power PC, so a Mac Mini G4, it would actually have a very modern browser in the form of 10.4 Fox, which is a spin-off of Firefox built for Power PC. Works great on everything. However, it doesn't work on Intel Macs, so this is using an outdated version of Firefox, which YouTube is starting to get a bit picky with. Well, why do I care? This is my upload machine. So my workflow is I make a video, and then I upload all that video to the Power Mac G5, either directly, or since I'm using a bigger SD card, which might be formatted in exFAT, I have to attach it to my main machine and shoot it over the network. Either way, gets on the G5, it gets edited, processed, rendered, exported, and that takes a couple days. And since I didn't want to have that machine sitting on for even more time, just uploading to YouTube, I decided that that was going to be this guy's job. So when the G5 is done making the final video file, it gets shot over to here using FireWire, and then it uploads to YouTube. And so that's its job. Now it's working fine so far, but clearly Firefox, the old version of Firefox, is having some issues. And after it's been a couple days, which is about how long it takes to upload my videos, with my internet speed and how big the files are, I like to keep the files, bulked up because I know that YouTube's going to trim them down. So I like to start with higher quality if I can. At the end of it, I'll have a hard time closing Firefox. It'll tend to hang because it's started to guzzle up all the RAM. So we are going to be doubling the RAM from 2 gigs to 4, and I think this might be a little faster RAM than it currently has. OWC is a good source for Mac parts. I'm sure I could use some more basic RAM, but Macs are, I think sometimes they're finicky with the type of RAM you put in them. And then I'm going to be updating the CPU a little bit. It currently has a 2 gigahertz Core 2 Duo. I'm going to be updating it to a 2.33. The model number I will see once I crack this guy open, but that's what I'm going to be doing, and clearly it's a laptop grade processor. So without further ado, let's crack into this fellow and get going. So the first part requires something like a putty knife. Now this, you might be better off with something bigger, but this is just going to have to do for now. See, the way this outer shell is encased on here, some scratches and dust, is that the base has a bunch of plastic clips, and they clip into the aluminum housing. So you basically need to go through and push those up. Is it fun? No, it is not. It's very much not fun. Double plus ungood. So we'll start prying through, and it's going to be time consuming. So I'm probably going to edit a lot of this portion out. Yeah. If I've done it once before, I can do it again. All right, some progress has been made in the back here, getting this pried up. This seems to be, on this particular one, a place to start. As you can see, there's a gap starting to form. Now it's trying to work that way back around. It's just a matter of getting in there and prying. Now, a bigger spudger would be ideal, of course. No doubt about that. But we just need to keep on prying around the edges, and eventually we'll get the guy to break loose. See, we're already starting to get more of a crack there. This side. Sorry if I'm getting some of these out of the shot of the camera. It's once you start staring at things, not really looking at what's going on camera side. Okay. It's working. Now can we get the front side to start to budge? If I remember right, this is always the tougher part. Like the back on this particular one has probably been loosened up a few times, so it wants to go. And be careful not to put too much pressure because you want to rip out the I/O section. But we're getting there. Come on, come on. So I'm just going to keep working at it. All right, I just started pulling. And there we go. Look at that. I do like the how durable this shell kind of feels. Remember, I'm not a Mac guy, even though I do have some Apple computers. Doesn't make me a yuppie. Just means that I found some dirt cheap ones. This was 50 bucks. And there is the inside. So those are all those little tabs that are holding it together. And nothing looks too worn out. The internal speaker, which has never worked since I've had it, oddly enough. Hopefully it's just that silly battery or something. So yeah, there we go. As you can see, some of the tape there from the work I was doing on it. Now we need to start removing things. If I remember right, I do have a, that looks a little beat up. Some of these antennas and things will have to come off. That's okay. Ah, I see. That must be a little antenna because there's a little cutout here in the metal shielding. So these little spring-loaded antenna guys, you push down and push the plastic nubbins together, and then that can release. Should probably be the same for this guy. Okay, I guess that other one doesn't need to go. Now we need to get this cable out, which I have thoroughly secured with some tape. But I think I can probably undo that, and I'll reapply more. So I just need to start breaking it loose here, because I don't want to put anything sharp in there. But I think I do have some plastic. I can use plastic here to do that. Just don't want to start shoving metal into computer components. You know how that is. So this needs to be pulled out. There we go. There is the ZIF cable lock. Well, the ZIF cable without lock removed. There. Next step requires moving a little cable. As you can see, there's this little guy here. This needs to be unplugged. Can't remember what this goes to, because there's some temperature probes, there's a little power thing, so that one's gone. Next step is pulling out the screws that hold this thing in, and to be honest, not all of them are here anymore. So we're going to start working on those. One screw is down in there. Hopefully I can undo that. These were a lot of these were pretty well stripped when I got this. Whoever had been working on it didn't take the most care of it. The one here wasn't there. I'm only securing this with a couple screws. I think the last one for us is here. So we'll get on that one. Looks like this is the Bluetooth antenna. Okay, so that's 2 screws down, and in a butter container lid, of course. So now with those gone, I should be able to start lifting off the upper assembly, and I can. So there's probably going to be a little cable or something holding on somewhere. There we go. So this is the upper assembly. We have the speaker and its cable. I think this might actually be it. It looks to be in okay shape. We have a hard drive in here. I think this is 320 gigabyte, nothing fancy. The whole connector that connects all these goodies to the actual motherboard or logic board in Apple parlance. We have the cooler, which is a fairly thick squirrel cage fan, which blows over a fairly stubby heatsink, but that's okay. It does a good enough job, though the air coming out is usually pretty warm. I'm going to blow this out with compressed air off camera. Don't think we need to see just dust flying everywhere, so let me do that. Now, while we're here, we're going to switch out the RAM. This heat sink should be over probably the north bridge and probably the graphics chip, I'm guessing. I'm not sure if they're all in one unit or whether they're 2 separate chips underneath here, but we'll leave that be. It's a decent heat sink for what it's doing. It's fairly low powered, whatnot. We have this should be our Wi-Fi card, which the antenna likes to try to disconnect just because of the way things are set up in this. So we're going to pull out this CR2032 battery, and we'll switch out the RAM. Let's see, so how does this come out? Looks like that's holding it there. It's a simple pull out. There we go. I'm going to not replace the battery quite yet until we're about to put it all together, just because I don't need this thing to be to have any charge going on, I suppose. So now we'll pull the RAM out, and this looks like it should just be like a laptop, where you pull the little wings and out, and out it goes. There we go. So that was this is the original RAM, probably from the factory, I'm guessing. So you'd think there would be some Apple branding on it. Oh well. And this lower one. There we go. As you can see, I've abandoned the anti-static wrist strap just because, well, I don't really have, there's not much of a case to connect it to. Let's pull out this RAM. This week on Rapidly Aging Technology, a man fails to pull apart packaging. How thrilling. All right. So here are the new RAM sticks. And let's put them in. Let's see here. So, Mr. Bottom Guy should go in somewhere like that. Pushing it in and then down. I don't like the crunch that they make, these types of RAM slots. There we go. And down we go. That one didn't sound so bad. RAM has been upgraded. Great success. So now we need to remove the cable for the power button. Power button's back here, and the cable's down there. It's a little rinky-dink thing. Come on. It's not, there we go. It wasn't that it was hard to pull out, it's just I wanted to get a grip on it. I didn't feel like I was going to pull it out sideways. We also need to pull off the little cable connector for the sleep light, or power light, the little light that glows on these things. Doing the same method. There we go. And so those have been disconnected. Great success. So now, I think I just need to pull off that guy. So let's switch to that kind of connector. So that'd be a T10 Torx, these fun dime, kind of star patterny screw tips. That doesn't even feel all that stiff. All right, that goes off. So I think, is that everything holding this in? That might be. So now we're going to use our plastic shoving bit. Just kind of get underneath here. And we should start pulling it off. Yeah, the little power light is kind of in the way though. Gotta be careful not to rip it out. Yeah. Please no breaky. There we go. Hey! There we go. Oh, there's lots of it's like thermal interface goop there. So that's that. Ah, and the chipset is underneath on a thermal pad. So that's that. So the graphics chip is the one on top. That's fun. Now this one is gonna suck a little bit. Let's just move this antenna off of here. Okay. So now we got this here. That one is actually screwed in, a plastic thingamajigger. So we need to unscrew that. That came out quick. And these ones, of course, are not screws. They're you push through, and then we got to push the plastic tabs back together. Sort of like a stock Intel cooler, only less fun. So that's my official designation. Less fun, similar to the stock cooler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use flat end here to push the spring-loaded top part, and at the same time use the tweezers to try to maybe push those plastic bits together. Maybe my fingers. I might be able to do it with just my fingertips. Not sure how much you can see there. This is not going to be fun. This might work better in my lap, but we're going to do what we can. So let's try using some of these here. Okay. Push. This is probably one of those things I'm going to have to do in my lap, but you'll see the goal is to push that through, squeeze the plastic barbs in, and then have it pop through. So I'll try that in my lap. Ha! Victory! So now those took quite a beating. It was kind of hard to do that. I don't recommend doing this upgrade unless you have to. Now I'm going to clean off the thermal paste. Alright, let's get this stuff cleaned up a little bit. Well, I'll use the actual nice thermal remover mainly on the heat sink and the CPU. I'll do something else. Of course, I'm at an angle, so it wants to drift. Of course it does. It seems fairly supple still, so it shouldn't take too much effort to get rid of it. There's also a thermal sensor in there, as you can see. That's why it's connected by wire still. Don't need to undo that now. But yes, it was quite the challenge, and it was in my lap. So it really was just using the flat end of the plastic prying tool as a point of contact to then start pushing those plastic nubbins through, so then you could go through and tighten down their barbs so that they'd fly back through. One actually did come through and shot out of the heat sink, and the spring went off into the ether. I was able to find it again, luckily. I don't like this rubbing on top of other things. It's quite irritating. But I gotta do what I gotta do. With my luck, now this is just sitting on the little Wi-Fi antenna. With my luck, I've ended up breaking something. But you know, what are you going to do? Alright, so now we need to turn that lock. With this, I'll clean that CPU up later. So, as you can see, there's one of these lock style ones. Just turn that in. One of these lock style CPU holders, and you just rotate. And now the CPU should come right out. Also, this is the swine flu edition, so the golden pin, the golden triangle, is up in this corner, so we'll know how to arrange that. There's the back side. There's the top, the T7200. Here we go. So let's set that guy aside, somewhere somewhat safe. So now we have the shiny new T7600. So that's going in. I'm not sure if I made it super clear. The reason I'm doing all these upgrades is not just so that it performs a little better, but also these Mac Minis, I want to get a better operating system on them so that I can then use a newer version of Firefox. I have a Snow Leopard install CD, so I'll be able to upgrade the operating system, but I think you can get these things all the way up to Lion, Mac OS X Lion. There we go, the CPU is in, so I'll give that a little minor clean, then apply some thermal paste on it. Actually, it's pretty good looking overall. Now, if throughout this you found that I've been handling things looks like I'm handling things pretty roughly or whatnot, well, I think things don't come across too well in recording, but also, yeah, sometimes I have to fight with these things. So definitely you should be a little more gentle if you possibly can. All right, and a bit of Arctic Silver number 5. That's probably more than enough. So now we get to try to put everything back to the way it was. Which is not going to be fun, I can tell you that. Get one through. Another one through. That one spat out again. Not sure if I'm going to find it. At least we can do this one. Oh dear. This is not good at all. Well, I found the spring. So I just spent maybe 30 minutes looking for that little plastic thing that went flying in my face when I was putting this together. Probably off camera too, because I have no idea. Because I was probably holding it where you couldn't even see it. But it went flying off into the middle of nowhere. So Mr. Zip Tie is going to have to come into play. And hopefully we won't run into too many issues. See, I'm constantly off camera with this one, which is really frustrating. So I'm trying to put the nubbin. There. Just tight enough. Hopefully there's room in the case for this without having too many issues. It's got some looseness to it, so it should be able to work. Also, I had 2 of these, and now I have 1 within the course of this video. I have no idea where it went. So, there you go, I'm losing my mind. And we know once I seal this thing up, I'm going to find that little plastic thing, I'm going to want to put it back on. But if it works fine, I might not. I don't know. I'm going crazy. This is how, I wonder if this is how Jiraga feels all the time. All right, so that's back on. So now we probably just need to, I'll probably want to put the battery in sometime soon. But now I think we're just going to slide this back in after getting the cables thoroughly out of the way. Don't want to do any of that. Push that out. Let's see if those lining up. Make sure they are. Make the clips pop out. They're trying to push things out. All right. He's a trash Mac product. Oh. There we go. It's back in. Isn't that nice? Now I need to put this Torx guy back in. This fellow. So we'll switch out our bits here. Put in Mr. Torque, which I'm pretty sure was over in this corner. So when people ask, why I don't look forward to a future of laptops and other like really tiny computers, reference this video. Of course, this could have been made a lot easier if Apple were to just use a metal retention system for its heatsink. That would have been... That's where most of the problem really came down to. Why would you use plastic? I don't understand the, while I do find the Intel stock coolers easy to put on, for the most part, I don't understand the using the plastic clips for longevity. Same for this guy. So, I just have no idea what to think about that. Ugh. Now let's get those little things back in here. And these are always irritating. So let's see. Should be in that direction. Not sure if you can see it. Just plugging the little wire back in. Every time I pull it close to my face, it pulls it away from you. Oh dear. I'm going to turn the camera off for this. This is irritating. There, they're back in, as you can see. And there. It's just, you shove it close to your face, you start fiddling, it's irritating. Dear. Okay. So what was that next step? Probably putting the top housing back on after we put in the new battery, which is over here. All right, new battery from some brand I don't know, but I got a big surplus of them. And now it's in its spot. Okay, so RAM, CPU, and battery. Hooray! Now to get the upper assembly back on. So it should go on something like this. You can see that? You can see some of it. I don't care anymore. I'm so tired. It goes on. What are you bumping up against? We want the ribbon cable to pop through. Tiny computers, why? Why must you be a thing? Oh, that's what I thought. The zip tie is going to have some problems unless I adjust it a bit. Great. Maybe something like this will work, where I have two ends of a zip tie pulling through to create its own support. That might do the trick. All right, I think I finally got it now. After doing that modification to the zip tie, it looks like everything's gone together well enough. And it's not much of a lump on the bottom either, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Let's get these. So with the amount of issues I've had, you might just want to, buy the better Mac Mini if you can. Probably on eBay or something like that. I get so ticked if I find that plastic nubbin the moment I seal this thing up. Am I screwing it in? Don't know. Feels like I'm doing something. That in? All right, I think that's in. And so then we take this guy and no. Oh gosh darn it. Gosh darn it. I hate everything. Okay. And that goes back on there. And that's back on there. Okay, so the last thing to do is get the ribbon cable in, and then we'll see if it works. Ugh. So it's just a matter of getting that cable to more or less slot in, and then stay in with some tape. High-tech stuff. I'll do that. All right, now that it's in the slot, I'm going to take some of this. I'm going to take some of that. Fit it nice and close so that it doesn't want to move anywhere. It really should be all that's needed because we're pushing it nice and tight. That's the goal at least. Let's get the cap back on here. Oh, I almost forgot the little internal speaker wire right there. Oh dear. All right. So that's all done. Still missing one of those things. I don't know what's going on anymore. We want to get this on. Careful that you don't get it too uneven because it's going to want to do that. I think I really need to start at the back because there's slots back there. Some slots to slide into. So you want to use the back as the reference point. All right. Back together. There's a bit of a gap back there, but you know, I don't really care because it'll make it easier to get into next time. So there we go. Ugh. All right, we're over here. Now let's try powering this guy on. All right, well, I heard something. Oh, there we go. All right, that's working, though the little power light on the front of it no longer works for some reason. And there was no bong, so the onboard sound seems to be entirely dead. All right, so as you can see, the upgrade has been a success. It recognizes the 2.33 gigahertz Intel Core 2 Duo and 4 gigs of RAM. Now, I could have swore that RAM was at least 667, but whatever, the RAM speed isn't going to make that big of a difference with what I'm trying to do with this thing. I'm just trying to make it a more convenient experience for uploading videos and whatnot. Sound still does not work. No bong from the internal speaker. Doesn't seem to recognize any sound devices. So that's something we're going to have to live with. Now we want to update to Snow Leopard. So first I'm going to take just a blank DVD and pop it in the front to make sure that the disk drive isn't wonky, because I don't want to shove an operating system disk in there, just have to take the machine apart to rip it out again. That'd be dumb. All right, sorry about the low light, but it's easier when we're working on it with the monitor. All right, pulled it in. Seems to be spinning. Can we eject it though? Oh, well, it ejected it by itself for whatever reason. Okay, I'll take that as a go. So now we're going to install Snow Leopard, and it's got the 0.3 update, but it should be able to update to the final form, which I don't even remember. You pull out here, inside you get your disk, you get some features, and of course Apple stickers, that sort of thing. So let's see if we can get this guy installed. All right, let's put on the disk skin, which hopefully it'll be happy with. It might have been not have been happy with a blank DVD. Oh, it's spinning up. I have never installed Snow Leopard. I'm not. I think you have to go to the Apple Store to get anything past Snow Leopard. I think this was the last one out on disk. I could be wrong though. Continue. I agree. Yes, we're doing it on C. Yeah, we're going to install. So it looks like they Apple by default does the Windows upgrade type of thing, which, as an old Windows user, I never did the upgrade. I always do the clean install. So we'll see how this works out. It would also be convenient if Snow Leopard was able to detect the sound, onboard sound, and bring that back. Because it was working at one point, at least the ports on the back, but now nothing works, even when you unplug and replug them in. It's been like that for a while now. So we haven't the only functionality we've lost is the front power light, which for some reason, even though it's plugged in, isn't working anymore. So we shall return when this has completed. All right, well, you might have just missed it there. Just putting my mic back on because I'm away from the computer. Install was successful, and it caused the machine to restart after a few restart cycles and whatnot. So now we're going to see if everything works out. Hooray! Well, that is a very different background it slapped on there. Whoa, there we go. All the programs are still there. Got the Rainbow Spinner of Death up on Setup Assistant. Seems like it worked. Well, I'm getting this. This is, I think, the same one that happens on 10.5, but I can't really. There's no audio still. I'm not sure if it's going to actually give me a menu or if it's just saying, "Whoa, here you go." As you can see, we're now at 10.6.3. And let's see if we can do some software updating. All right, checking for software updates. It's probably going to see the operating system. Maybe it'll also see Firefox and Safari and whatnot. Well, I'm sure it updated Safari by default. But we just need a more modern browser so there's fewer issues on YouTube. So details. The airport utility. Why can't we do that one? Agree. Downloading and installing. So Firefox, since it's third party, I'll have to do by myself. That's fine. All right, so we're back. It had pulled updates, restarted, pulled more updates. Now we're updating Firefox. So we'll have a modern browser-ish. I may end up updating this to Lion, but if I'm going to have to buy it, I think I'd rather have it on a Mac Mini with everything working. So there's that. Let's see here. Oh, Firefox. Whoa! It went from a version 16 to 48.02, which is almost exactly current. I believe current Firefox is on version 52 or 53. So we have just completely caught up in time. Just from going from 10.5.8 to 10.6.8. There you go, you can see it. So we are gosh darn up to date. So I think we've accomplished our goal. Let's take a peek at a YouTube video. All right, so with the new processor, which is running hotter, and its heatsink is, well, well, let's be quite honest, it's probably not held on as good as it could be. It does tend to get a little on the hotter side. Now, there seems to be some CPU usage going on, probably some updates going on in the background. But when it flared up to 50%, the CPU did get a bit hotter. However, we're getting back down to idle temperature levels. And for this type of mobile CPU, in my experience, floating around, let's see, it's on like 48. It's not really it's not that much hotter than normal, 45. For idle, really low use, that makes sense to me. So that doesn't seem too surprising. However, the other one did remain much cooler most of the time. So now we're going to try to open a YouTube video and play it with no sound. Well, it seems that a combination of this old machine and, well, I guess a slightly outdated browser, it never liked to really try to play YouTube videos before, so it's continuing to have some issues, at least on Firefox. But that's fine, we can get around the website. So we don't actually care about that. But let's try Safari. Safari, yes, yes, yes. We're an older version. Let's see here. All right, a teaser trailer. Will it blend? It really doesn't want to. But that's fine. I'm sure this system probably has multiple problems going on with it at once, because I mean it does have dead audio. However, the CPU is not getting too hot, even though the fan is acting as if it is super hot. But we did the job. I can now easily navigate YouTube to upload videos with fewer issues. And if I ever need to update this to something higher, like Lion, I can, or I'll probably just get a better Mac Mini or something for an upload machine. So thank you for sticking around through this. That's how you fumble your way through updating a Mac Mini. Try not to lose the things that hold the cooler on, so you don't have to do some weird zip tie thing. And with that, I will leave you be. I'm going to let this thing just idle so that it can help spread that thermal paste on. You have a great day, and we'll see you next when I'm probably working on the XPS 720 again to try to get some sort of multiple graphics card set up to work. Anyway, you have a great day. Like and subscribe, all that stuff, and don't forget to join the Retro Machines group on Facebook. I'll see you around. Bye.